ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. I have been reading Andres Oppenheimer, the name of a very prolific writer and political thinker that lives in Miami, Argentinian by birth, but he is with the Miami Tribune, with the newspaper. He's their Latin American editor. And I've been reading him for a number of years, and I had the privilege of meeting him a few days ago, really, and I was very well impressed with him. He also gave me a book that I read, a book that claims that Latin America is a little obsessed with history, with their past, and maybe they don't give sufficient attention to the present and to the future. He makes reference to the fact that in Venezuela, for instance, they disinterred the remains of Simón Bolívar in order to ascertain maybe he was poisoned or God knows what. But Venezuela isn't the only country. In other countries also, they take the ashes of their basic liberators and take them from one place to another, constantly obsessed with their history, with the people that really gave direction to their countries, and he thinks they're too much obsessed with history. They should really concentrate more in the present and the future. Of course, a very valid point. But when I think of Jewish tradition, I see that we have the obligation to remember history is very important for us. For instance, the Torah says that you have to remember every day your exodus from Egypt. Leman tizkor et yom tzeitcha me'eretz Mitzrayim kol yemei chayecha. All the days of your life, you have to remember that. And who doesn't remember the night of the Seder, when we sit around the table? One of the things the author of the Haggadah makes us say is, Chayav Adam lirot et atzmo ke'ilu hu yatza miMitzrayim. Everybody has to think as if he himself went out of Egypt. Well, a slight contradiction with what Mr. Oppenheimer is teaching us, and the Jewish tradition, history apparently is very important. But I would like to indicate a very basic difference in our conception of history, in a spiritual conception of history, and not a geometric, not a physical dimension of history. For us, history is not something that is past, present, and future. When one thinks of Exodus from Egypt, one has to think and know that what happened then, the freedom that we gained, isn't something that we have forever. This is something that can be taken away from us any day. You have to fight for it every day. It was a moment in history, but it is just as real today. And take a look at numerous societies where you have certain autocracies, where you have dictatorships, how liberty is coerced, how many a time it is cut, and people don't have all the freedoms that they have. It takes on slavery takes on different aspects today, but it's still, of course, a menace for all of us. So that our conception of history is something altogether different. You have to absorb it as if you are living it today. For instance, the Torah was given in Mount Sinai 3,500 years ago, but you have to relive the moment. According to my teacher, Rav Soloveitchik, every time you read the Torah in the synagogue, what you really are doing is enacting. You are once again reviving the moment when you were around Mount Sinai, when the Torah was first given. So maybe we should think, each and every one of us, how do you observe things? How do you see important events in your life? Do they have a meaning for you today, or is it something that belongs to the past? Do you live it as if it's happening in this very moment? I think that when you think of your children, when you think of your wife, when you think of your friends, you should make sure that you're living every moment of your life as the present, because even though it may have happened in the past, it has much to say about what you are doing today.